What about a 350 watt space heater that actually runs more along the lines of 300 watts? This is a 300 watt inverter, so let's see if it can at least run this one, at least surge to be able to run this for 350 watts. If it's a good inverter, it does step down. It goes down to about 300 to 310, so it should be able to run this. So let's try this one. Go ahead. 3, 2, 1. So it's now kicked on, instantly jumps to 348, 347. What? Seriously? Couldn't even surge to run this for less than, what was that, 5 seconds? You gotta be kidding me right now. 500 watt space heater. Can this little Allpowers run this? Let's find out. 112, 349, instantly jumps up to that. It's a 300 watt inverter. Can this thing surge? Let's see. And no. Overload, not surprised. Let me show you guys why. What's up guys, John back here with another video. And today we got the Allpowers Volix P300, I guess they call it, or they added that to the name of it now. When I bought this, I don't remember it ever being P300, but that's neither here nor there. This is the overall power station. It's got one AC outlet. It's supposed to be 110 volt to 120 volt, roughly around there. It's got your USB-A's. These are supposedly 18 watts, both USB-A's. And you got one Type C 100 watt right here in the center. And then on this side, under this flap, you do have your 12 volt cigarette lighter. So it does come with the 12 volt 10 amp cigarette lighter, which is nice. And that is pretty much it as far as the face of the unit. It's got a decent screen on here. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's not the brightest. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit more. So it shows you everything you need to see. I mean, it gives you, the ins and outs, your input, output, your battery capacity, shows your percentage right here in the center. And then it shows the icons for whatever you're using. So if this is for AC outlet, it pops up that little icon right there. And then obviously for your DC outlet is this one right here, which is on already, and just on and off. And then that's pretty much it. Just the two little icons that come up right there. It does have a Bluetooth icon flashing right there because this only has Bluetooth capabilities. It does not have Wi-Fi capabilities. And we're gonna get into that later into the video, but just wanted to show the overall unit, show you how the face of it looks. It does have this nice little handle. Let me zoom you guys back out a little bit. Does have this nice little handle up here, which I like, it's collapsible. So if you need to lay something on top of it or keep something flat on top of it, which I wouldn't recommend putting a lot on here because this metal or this plastic is not very solid. It does feel like it has metal directly underneath it, but I would maybe put 30 pounds on top of that if that would be the most I would do just to keep it safe. Outside of that, it's a 300 watt inverter. It's a 256 watt hour battery bank. So I mean, just your average 256 watt hour battery bank, nothing crazy. On this side, you have just the exhaust port for the fan. On the back, you have absolutely nothing, just a clear back. And then this side does have its charging input and then its solar input, which is a maximum of 30 volts. It's 11 to 30 volts, 8 amps. Not bad, I mean, for a power station this size. The maximum input for this power station is 110 watts. So it's still gonna take you many hours, 3 hours to charge this thing with perfect sun condition. But that's pretty much the whole unit. I can show you the top of it because it does have this fancy little design on here. So I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it looks like they gave it a little bit of effort to make it look decent, But outside of that, that's pretty much it. It's a very small power station, as you can tell by my hand right here. It covers almost the whole entire thing. It's very portable, so if you need to take it on a camping trip, this is definitely going to be the power station for you. But outside of that, it's a real simplistic power station. Doesn't have many great features, doesn't do anything crazy, nothing fancy whatsoever. It's a basic bare bones power station. And we're gonna get into the testing and everything later in this video so you guys can make a conclusion on what you think about this power station. Outside of the screen, there's not much I really care for on this power station. So let's get to the testing and then we'll go from there. So another thing about this Allpowers Volix, when the screen doesn't stay on for more than 30 seconds, but we'll get into that later. Another thing though is one of the main reasons why I bought this power station was because this USB-C port right here was listed on the website as a 140 watt USB-C port. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you that right now. So this is on the Allpowers website, as you can tell, Volix Allpowers. Right there says USB-C 140 watts and then the two 18 watt ports. So that was one of the main reasons why I bought this unit, was because I was like, wow, okay, you know, if everything else sucks, at least it has a 140 watt USB-C port, and that's a cool feature. I mean, it's not very common even in, you know, mid or entry 2026. It's not a common feature to have in a lot of power stations. So I was like, let me try it out. And sure enough, as you can tell, go ahead and zoom in again. This is not 140 watt ports. This right here is a 100 watt port. Right there, USB-C 100 watt port. So false advertising does not sit well with me, and clearly they did it on this power station right here. And now a second lie that I caught them in. Another reason why I was gonna buy this power station was because I was under the impression that it had Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, according to the actual specifications on their own website. So Wi-Fi and Bluetooth right there, app connection, clear as day, black and white. And this power station only has Bluetooth. So I'm gonna get into that later in this video. We're gonna go ahead and get to the testing. I just wanted to show the two inconsistencies on their website that I found, and kind of let you guys know that, you know, those are lies. You know, there is no 140 watt port USB-C, and there is no Wi-Fi built into this unit. So either they're so lazy that they can't update their website to give the correct specifications of their product, or they want you to see that and believe that it has those features and you're gonna buy it based on those features. And that is just not something that any sort of company, power stations, or anything above that should be doing. And that's just something that didn't sit well with me with this unit. All right, so like I said in the beginning of the video, this is a 256 watt hour battery bank, Lifepo4, of course. According to the Allpowers website, it's got a 30 decibel sound measure, and I did kind of test that. It seems like it's a little bit more high pitched than that, but it might be about 30 decibels. I can probably test that later in this video. According to them, it's 100 to 120 volt output with a 300 watt maximum inverter output, along with a 600 watt surge according to Allpowers. And then according to their website, it has 110 watt solar input, which is the 30 volts, 8 amps. And then according to them, it is a total of 10 inches wide by 8.2 inches deep, and then 9 inches overall. So, you know, overall specifications, dimensions are not bad. It's a very small unit, and it's very nice to just throw into a backpack, or if you just want to, you know, carry it into your car real quick. Overall, it's pretty nice for that, you know. And they do claim, according to their website, once again, it has the 300 watts of input, which I have tested that. It does have 300 watts, and they claim you can charge this whole unit in an hour. So we're gonna put that to the test also in this video. So stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and test the AC inverter output. We're gonna test the USB outputs, the DC outputs, and we'll see how this unit performs. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this inverter. So once again, it's a 300 watt inverter. They claim 600 watts surge. We're gonna definitely test that. So on the meter right here, it is showing 110.2 volts. So it is a 110 volt machine. It's not 120 volts, which is unfortunate, but not surprising. So right now we are currently pushing out 116 watts. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly get the charging ramped up on this other unit and see how far we can push it. So let's go ahead and jump it up to 240 watts now. So now we're at 233 watts, according to the screen, and we are still at 110 volts, so that's good. As long as it doesn't go anything below really 110 volts, it's fine, you know. You don't want your power stations to dip below 110, because then that's when you have to worry about if it's gonna mess up with anything that you're powering, especially for very sensitive devices that require that pegged 120 volts. But like I said, 110 volts you can get away with, and it's kind of expected on a cheaper power station. And let's go ahead and crank it up a little bit more. So now we're gonna crank it above 300 watts, and we're gonna see how long it can actually run that for before it trips. So 3, 2, 1. This should be 360 watts now. Let's go ahead and make sure we check the voltage. So we're at 110 volts, and one thing this unit does is it ramps up very, very slowly. So this should be closer to 360 watts, and it's pushing out 214 watts. So not sure why it's doing that at all. Like I said, this should be over 350 watts, and it's only pushing out 225 watts. The voltage is still showing 110 volts though, so it's not sagging on the voltage, which is good. But it's not good that it's not pushing the volts or the wattage that it should be pushing. it's pushing less than that. So let's go ahead and try a different test real quick. Okay, so what I did was I figured out that the power station was actually too charged to go above 300 or 240 watts. So what I did was I drained the battery a little bit to get it to where I can put the full power into it. And as you just saw, I don't know if you saw it while I was talking, but it's showing 341 watts output. We're getting 100 volts. So now it's jumping back up to 110 volts, and it cannot handle that surge. I mean, it's that simple, where it cannot push the power needed. Let me go ahead and lower that now, see if I can get more of a sustained output. So now we're back to 234 watts, and the meter's showing 110 volts. So it can comfortably do 230 watts, but as soon as you try to get it to surge, which I'll do again right now, 3, 2, 1. Let's see if it can even handle it. So volts automatically go down to 101, 108, and it's supposed to be pushing 350 watts right now, but it's not even going past 170. So I don't know what's going on with this inverter. I can't get it to surge almost at all, period. It can run consistently like 260 watts. There it jumps back up to 344. The volts are all over the place. I mean, yeah, it's not a power station you really want to push past that 230 watts, maybe 250 watts. Anything past that, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this before it damages my power station. But yeah, I mean, anything past 250 watts, I think you're gonna run into a lot of issues with this inverter because it cannot handle putting a clean output over 250 watts. And you see it on the meter, as soon as it does go to that 300 watts, it automatically dips the voltage, which is just not acceptable at all. So, you know, this, like I said, is not really gonna be the power station if you're trying to, you know, use the inverter past that 250 watts, like I said. And that's pretty much unfortunately it for this one. So, all right, so I wanna give this power station the benefit of the doubt. And what I did was I moved a bunch of things around in my recording area, and I'm using a different power source now, so I can actually get it to that pinpoint 300 watts instead of it going over, because we know, we've seen it on camera now, this thing cannot surge at all. So I'm gonna try to get it dialed into right where it's at, about 300 watts. So we'll go ahead and turn on the AC inverter again, and we should see our 110 volts come back on here, which, okay, it's back on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the charging from the other unit now, and let's see how this thing responds to that. So what's funny right now is it's saying that it's outputting 37 watts, and I don't have anything powered on yet for the other unit. So where that 37 watts is going, I cannot tell you. But let me go ahead and turn the unit on. So now this should start going up. So we're doing 356 watts, which is way off because right now it should be 240 watts and we are still at 110 volts. So that tells me that the display is really wrong and incorrect because we're still getting the 110 volts. So if we were getting over the 350 watts, clearly this would be dipping in its voltage. So that tells me that the display and the output is way off. So right now it should be closer to about 240 watts. And if I go onto this meter, I can actually pull up the true wattage. So let me see, 246 watts. So that's what the true wattage should be right there. And it is showing 357 watts. So let me go ahead and move the charge up on the other one. And I bet you if I move it up to 200 watts, let's see what it says. So on here, it's showing 296 watts. On here, it's showing 360 watts. So, I mean, this is crazy. Like, to have this big of a difference, it's just crazy to me. So this just kind of further, and it overloaded. So here's the problem with that. This is not really producing 350 watts. It was producing 296 watts, as we saw on the meter, and it couldn't even handle that. I mean, it's unbelievable. How do you make a power station with a 300 watt inverter and it can't even truly power 300 watts? But the screen is showing that it's 350 watts. So the BMS or whatever, the sensors in here are thinking that it's overloading, but it's really not. And it's causing the unit to shut off. So just crazy. I thought I'd give it a fair shot with a second test and it failed again. So I don't know what to say at this point. I guess we'll test out the DC, but I don't know, we'll see. All right guys, so let's at least hope the DC output on this unit is good. I'm honestly not even gonna bother testing the total output because I don't see anywhere in the manual or on the website where it says total output. And knowing that this is all messed up and wonky where it's showing, 50 to 100 watt difference on its AC outlet, I can't even really mess with that to get it to combine. So we're just gonna stick with the 12 volt cigarette lighter right now. So currently it is on and it is pulling 1 watt. So let's make sure it is on because, yep, so that icon is on right there. So let's go ahead and get this thing turned on. So now it's pushing 1 amp. And it says it's rated for 10 amps. So let's just go ahead and get it all the way up to 10 amps and make sure that it can at least do that. And then while I'm doing the 10 amps on this unit, I'll go ahead and try to run the Type C 100 watt as well, just to make sure that that actually can push out as well. So we are getting 129, 125, fluctuating around 128 watts. So let's make sure it can actually power that. So this is 10 amps, so 12 volt 10 amps from the car cigarette lighter right here under this flap. And it shows it's pushing it no problem, so that's a good thing. Go ahead and get that closed up there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and charge my power bank right here with the 100 watt port, and let's make sure. Go ahead and tilt that to the side so you guys can see the screen. So we are still pushing 125 watts, and we're gonna go ahead and crank this into the Type C port now. And power bank does show it's charging, so this is going up 158, 170, 178, 188, 190, 200, 220, okay, 220, so it looks like it's staying about 220. So that's actually not bad at all, to be honest. So you're talking 126 watts from the DC meter right here, and then we are pushing in 98 watts going into the power bank. So at least that is a pass. I would say that's a pass, And ultimately, when it comes down to this type of power station, and it's not just this Allpowers, it's any power station in this class, really. These are really what this unit's meant for, And obviously, it's not meant for 220 watts constantly all the time, but it's meant to charge power banks like this, your cell phone. It can definitely run a DC fridge, because it has the power for that. But it's what it's really designed to do. This right here, run DC power appliances. And you got 256 watt hours to play with, so a decent amount of battery, but it is good to see after the failure from the inverter that you can at least power DC appliances pretty regularly with no issues according to this. So good job on that, Allpowers. All right, so UPS. Allpowers states this does have a 20 millisecond UPS, so we're gonna test that out, see how quick it really is. So I got the light right here to the right, and then obviously it's inputting 362 watts and it's powering 26 watts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unplug this and see how fast its switchover time really is. So I don't have any way to really measure that, but I can definitely at least show it on camera to see how fast it is during its switchover time. So 3, 2, 1. So not bad actually. There was definitely a little blip from the light, but it was really, really fast. I mean, not that bad. I mean, I'm impressed with that. So I'm gonna plug it in now, make sure that there's no weird. So it did flicker again. I don't know if you guys saw that on the camera. So the light did flicker once I plugged the charging plug back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that recalculate back up. So go ahead and see how long it takes to recalibrate itself. So it's plugged into charging right now, so it should be instantly pushing 350 to 360 watts. And it's just, okay, now it's slowly getting there. So we're back to that 360 watts. And let it settle down again just so I can make sure it's all set up and ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is unplug this again. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, definitely a flicker from the light, but I mean, it stays powered on, doesn't shut off, and does the job it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it back in one more time, make sure there's nothing crazy going on. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, it does flicker when you plug it back in. I'm not sure why it does that. Maybe the inverter's resetting or something like that. but you do get a flicker when you lose the power and then when you reapply the power to it. So not many power stations that I've tested and owned do that when you reapply the power to it. Only the flicker happens when it loses power. So I'm not sure if it's just got a real slow time to recalibrate from the inverter or the relay for the actual, you know, the switchover time or the UPS. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But for that one, I would say is technically a pass. So, all right, so we're just gonna basically jump into the final thoughts of this Allpowers Volix P300. And you know, overall, DC is fine if you use it for like its USB-C ports or your USB-A ports. It works fine. The 12 volt 10 amp works fine. So if you want to run a DC fridge, you got 256 watt hours to play with. It's got a decent screen. It doesn't stay on more than 25-30 seconds though, so it's very frustrating. And there's no settings in the app to where you can turn it on or have it stay on for much longer. So that's a very frustrating thing to me in 2026. Power stations should have an option to keep the screen on the whole entire time, or at least, you know, a couple hours, whatever. But it doesn't give you that option. It shuts off automatically every 25-30 seconds. So that's one of my frustrations. My second frustration now is going to be the app. So the app is very simple, very basic, and I'm going to show you right now. You have to add it every single time. So we're going to add it right now, and this is something you have to do every single time you get off the app. And it doesn't save anything. The screen just shut off. And you have to click on the unit right here. So once you click on the unit, it shows the unit, and it's very, very simple, very basic. There's really no settings on here at all. You can turn the AC inverter on right there, and your DC for your type C, your 12 volt, and then your settings are gonna be almost next to nothing. So you have your differences in your mute mode for charging, standard mode, or your fast mode. And then eco mode will give you the options to have the unit shut off after a few hours or 6 hours or whatever the case is. You cannot update the software without contacting the manufacturer, which is really, really weird. Never seen that before. But that's pretty much the app. So, and like I said, if you go off the app, which I'll do again right now, I'm gonna reopen it. You gotta go into it again, all through that, all over again. You gotta go through all these settings all over again. And that to me is just completely unacceptable. Like, it should be able, and then look, the second time it says no devices found. So the app is very, very basic at best. Does not offer anything special. The screen does not stay on, very frustrating. There's no settings for that. Like I said, the DC is okay. It powers what you need for the 100 watt, which their marketing says this is 140 watts. So a little false advertising there. The AC inverter is not good at all. It's very weak, has no surgeability. The wattage is completely wrong from the display to what you're actually outputting. So outside of that, if this unit drops down to $100, I mean, I guess you can go for it. It's not bad at $100, but it does go up to that 120, 130 range, and sometimes I've seen it higher. So at that point, it is not worth it whatsoever. Overall, it's got its fast charge on the side, which is good. I really don't have much else good to say about this. There's no light on there. It's Lifepo4, which is good. So you're gonna, according to Allpowers, you can get 4,000 charge cycles to 80%. And that's a really good rating if that's true. But outside of that, you know, I have had problems with this unit in the past. When I first got it in the winter, I used to use it to power my camera inside my car, and it would literally go from 80% down to 0% the next day. So it has a problem with holding its capacity. And I've also had it inside my office, and I looked at it, you know, a few weeks later, and it was at like 0% again. And I'm like, I know for a fact I left this at 70 to 80%. I don't know how it dropped all of its percentage, but it must be something with the calibration because it's way off on this unit. So outside of that though, you know, I don't really recommend this unit because there's a lot better options out there for the money. And this unit, I feel like, is just one of those units that they really did not make good at all. So that's pretty much where I'm gonna leave this one at. I appreciate you guys for all watching, subscribing, liking, and commenting. I have many more to come, so I appreciate you all. Thank you. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.